The first rail crossing in the region between New York City and all the way up was the Livingston Avenue Bridge. It wasn't at that time called that. It was built in the 1860s. The current bridge, as it stands between Rensselaer and Albany, dates back to 1902. So that bridge is a pretty important crossing. The Rensselaer rail station is the 10th busiest rail station in the country for rail passenger service. And so that bridge is a real critical link between points east and points west across the Hudson River. Trains from New York City will come up the Hudson in many cases, and through Rensselaer to go to points like Boston, Montreal, Buffalo, and points west. So it's a very active, busy rail corridor. So we're at a point now where the bridge is a critical piece of infrastructure that is more than 100 years old. It's well outlived its serviceable life, and it needs to be replaced. The Livingston Avenue Bridge Coalition kind of started with a really simple idea that somebody said to me one day. We were walking by the bridge and they said, you know, this bridge is pretty old, it needs to be replaced. Wouldn't it be great if there was an advocate in the community that was pressing for or talking about the walkway on the bridge and how it could be part of a new bridge, or if there's money invested. So when you consider the fact that we have a number of bicycle and pedestrian resources throughout our communities to help people with non-motorized mobility on both sides of the river, that bridge could be a really critical link in providing that access. Currently today, the only access is across the Dunn Memorial Bridge. That bridge was constructed in the late 1960s before we had the Americans with Disabilities Act. The way to access that particular bridge is through an obscurely located and very steep set of ramps that form a dogleg to go up there. It is so steep that they prohibit bicycling up and down the ramps because of how steep it is. It presents a danger. It also presents a significant hazard for anybody who has a mobility impairment, who may be in a motorized wheelchair. So with the Livingston Avenue Bridge being replaced, you have a really great opportunity to replace the walkway that currently exists there now without the steep set of dogleg ramps. So the bridge's proximity to that Skyway project presents, it's almost like the Skyway could be the bridge's red carpet. So you also have all this great residential development happening in downtown Albany, in the warehouse district, on the Rensselaer waterfront. You have the opportunity to connect people to entertainment, to jobs, and it would be a really fantastic resource also because it would close what's now really what I consider to be a gap in the Empire State Trail, which goes from New York up to Plattsburgh and from Albany out to Buffalo. We're at the literal and figurative crossroads of the Empire State Trail, which goes across the state of New York. And right now we have an antiquated piece of infrastructure which isn't built to handle bicycle traffic. So a new Livingston Avenue Bridge or rebuilt Livingston Avenue Bridge would really be the appropriate cornerstone in that trail network. A network only works well if you have a complete chain. If there's a break in that network, the network fails to function. So that speaks to connecting our regional trail system and connecting our bike and pedestrian network so people can get back and forth. When it comes to creating access to our waterfront, I think the single most damaging thing to the city of Albany is the development of 787. It takes up a lot of land that would have a higher and better use. I think there are smarter ways that we can invest in transportation to be able to provide better access to the city of Albany for people traveling here from beyond the city. And I think that the Livingston Avenue Bridge is one component in that transportation network to be able to bring people to the waterfront, to be able to allow people to connect to jobs on both sides of the river, and to be able to create a great sense of place for people that want to choose Albany or Rensselaer as a place to live, work, and play. I think Albany is a great compact city, and there are some small hurdles that exist for us to make it a city that is accessible by everyone. Well, I think it would be great to be able to go from downtown Albany to walk over to the Rensselaer train station or bike over to the Rensselaer train station and take a train to New York City or Boston, or vice versa, come over from the train station and into Albany without having the necessity to call for transit or to be confused about how to get across the river. The bridge presents this great opportunity from even a tourism perspective of somebody that might want to come up from Point South, east, and get off off at the train station and come into Albany and enjoy the recreational amenities or the cultural amenities that we have to offer. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to sell ourselves as a tourist destination and a way for people to come into our city. And I think the same exists for Rensselaer too. It'll provide them with a gateway for people to come over from Albany and into Rensselaer and see what they have to offer.